What was a childhood lie you've had to keep up into adulthood? In 4th grade I broke my arm because I was showing off for a girl. I'd ride by her on her swing set and jump and spin off my bike. Like doing a 360 jump off my bike. The last one I did, my arm hit my handlebars and turned my wrist into the shape of a U. I woke up front surgery and the girl had told everyone a car drove by me and scared me, causing me to fall off. I still get nervous when people ask about that story. When my father was young, he really wanted glasses, so he told his mother his eyesight was blurry, and when she took him to the docs, he fibbed the entire test to get glasses. Eventually, his eyes adjusted to the lenses, and now he can't see a thing without them. My grandma still has no idea that he never really needed glasses in the first place. That is simultaneously cute and horrifying. I once went with my mum and her friend to get a kitten for the friend's daughter, who was a bit of a princess. She had her heart set on a girl kitty, but they only had boys, so for this poor cat's whole life everyone has pretended he is a she to keep the girl happy. She's in her 20s now and I'm pretty sure she still has no idea. How embarrassing for the cat to be mistaken for a girl because your kitty wiener is so small. When I was in 4th grade my favorite teacher brought in some movie for us to watch. Halfway into the movie it turned into a porno. Someone taped over it. She quickly turned it off but the damage was done. She made the class promise never to tell, and to my knowledge no one ever did. Kids can't really keep secrets well. I heard no one talk about it during lunch or recess. When I was younger I was over at my friend Robin's house playing. Her father had been a fan of whittling and carpentry and had recently carved a sculpture of a fish. I know, it sounds dull but it was pretty intricate. Robin had showed it to me, saying, "Isn't it cool?" My dad made it out of a piece of wood. We then went outside to play. When I came back inside for a bathroom break, I picked up the wooden fish and squeezed it, in an effort to mimic its mouth moving up and down. When I pushed down, it snapped. I quickly put it down and went back to playing. I was there when her dad got home and he went ballistic. He was screaming at Robin and her 2 brothers, demanding to know who had broken it. When he asked me about it, Robin and her mother quickly came to my defense, saying that I had never touched it and I had been playing the whole day. I just sat back and watched as all 3 kids, dumbfounded, continued to say I don't know. Honestly, it wasn't me. I felt awful, especially considering how mad he was. I was just too afraid to say anything. I felt bad about it, but like a year later her and her brothers trapped me inside of a fold-out couch and that was freaking terrifying, so I even anonymously send this guy a tube of glue every year on the anniversary. Senior in high school, I took the fall for my little brother when he was caught with pot on campus. I was 18 at the time and he was a sophomore getting ready for his junior year. I said it was mine. Got kicked out and not allowed to graduate. Parents get kick me out of the house and keep the college fund they set up for me and rolled it into my brother's fund. Long story short, he was good at baseball, gets a scholarship to a high school, goes 4 years, gets a degree in accounting. Anyway, 15 years later we now have an accounting business together. He helped me pay for school a few years ago, and we went in together. Parents never knew, never will. And good on him for not throwing you under the bus and abandoning you after his life started to get awesome. I was on vacation with my family when I was 10 years old in England and we were traveling with another family that had 2 girls. One of the girls was 6 years old and a dirt magnet. We had been walking all around downtown that day and she had black dirt all up her shins from goodness knows what. Anyways, it was extremely hot, so her and I sat down on the sidewalk with our backs against a building while our parents looked at a map. I had slung my hat on the ground between my legs to let my head cool off a bit. Found a coin on the ground and just threw it in my hat to keep as a souvenir from our trip. A few minutes later, the adults all notice us and my mother assumes someone must have thought we were homeless as the girl with me was extremely dirty and we were both tired looking and threw a coin into my hat thinking we were needy. She found it absolutely hilarious. I haven't had the heart to tell her otherwise. She loves the story and tells it whenever our England trip comes up in conversation. I just smile and play along. That's kinda cute. When I was 7 years old I figured out that Santa, spoiler alert, didn't exist. When I told my mom, she became dead serious and told me that if I include my little brother in, Santa would never ever visit again. We're 30 and 27 now and I still ask him what he wants from Santa for every year. Your brother sounds like he may be a little special if he still hasn't figured it out. When I was in 5th grade, my best friend and I helped my mom move some furniture around in her room. We went to another friend's place and my mom called and asked if we had seen the $40. I tell her we haven't seen it. Hours later, my friend tells me he has some money, $40, and tells me if I want to go to the mall and buy some toys for the both of us. I don't put 2 and 2 together because I'm excited about getting some toys. From Feo Schwartz I think. Got a new yo-yo that I got bored of within the week. Years later I look back at the story and realize that my friend did steal from my mom. I haven't told her since she believes a great guy and is always asking how he is. My friend eventually confessed about it after high school and told me he wanted to pay her back. Since her birthday was coming up and we were having a party, I told him just to buy her a big present. He bought her a sewing machine that she still uses today. So he is a good guy. On my 14th birthday, I got very drunk. This was, I think, the first time I ever had anything to drink. My parents were out of town. Threw a great party. My standards were low back then. Anyway, after a night of teenage debauchery, it was time for bed. I washed my face, brushed my teeth and put in my retainers. Woke up wanting to kill myself, with my first ever hangover. Sweet. I collected my crap together and went to brush my teeth. Where did my retainers go? I freaked out and searched all throughout the house thinking that drunk me might have misplaced them instead of putting them in. I realized I am going to be fricked if I don't find them. Later on, someone told me that I was booting everywhere. It then dawned on me. I put my retainers in my mouth before sleeping, puked them into the toilet and flushed them down. My parents came home and I told them that when I was eating at Panera, I took my retainers out and put them on the table. I then went to the bathroom and when I came back they were gone. Someone must have stolen them. When asked why someone would steal a 14-year-old's retainers, my response was that maybe they wanted straight teeth. That is why I steal retainers. I missed passing my driver's test by 1 point. The guy grading it wrote a passing score on the top and said that nobody would ever know. I feel like I shouldn't be allowed to drive now. I don't know what you're talking about. My uncle really does work at Nintendo and he did give me a game with Pickablue, but I can't show you guys because he'd get fired. I used to have the awesome Hot Wheels that would change color when you put them in warm water. Because metal doesn't cool down very quickly, they would stay the new color too long to keep the attention of a 5-year-old kid, so I put them in a cup of water and put the cup in the fridge. Then I promptly forgot about it and went outside to play. When my parents found a cup full of Hot Wheels in the fridge, they just assumed my absent-minded older brother did it. He couldn't definitively prove that it wasn't him, so the entire family has teased him about it his whole life. Been carrying this secret for over 20 years. When I was 7 I told everyone that my dad is black. Why? I have no idea. It's funny how people believed me though, because I'm white as sour cream. When my older brother came back from college for the first time, I was 14. He and I went to Strawberries, CD gaming stuff store, and buy an Xbox 50/50. Cut to that evening, Dad says something about his boxes being so expensive it didn't make sense to buy one full price. My brother spins this tale about having a friend that wanted to sell his, and only paying a fraction of the cost of the device. He looks at me, says Liz came with me to pick it up. She can tell you I then agree, and I'm now forced to agree every time my dad tells the story of how awesome my brother is for bargaining his friend down like that. Sigh. When I was in 9th grade I told my friends that I got a BJ from a girl with a vibrating tongue ring. She didn't have a vibrating tongue ring. In fact, there was no girl. They still bring it up every now and again. The lie is eating me up inside, but I'm in too deep to ever confess the truth. Whenever your friends are about to meet up with you, one of them says, hey, let's make him stumble over the vibrating BJ lie again. I like how he always gets all red. That I'm allergic to wool. I don't know how I convinced everyone, but now no one buys me wool anything, which is great because I hate how itchy it is. And I know it would have been simpler to tell them I just didn't like it, but even after I did, my grandma kept buying it for me, and she's just so sweet and I didn't want to disappoint her by not wearing any of it, so I told her I was allergic. That I don't like bananas. Since I was the only kid in my class who was good at climbing, I could literally climb a vertical brick wall with no equipment but my fingers and toes. I got the nickname Monkey since I said but I don't even eat banana. Ever they changed it to Spider-Man. Ezio hated bananas too. When my older sister and I were little girls around 6 and 8 years old, we found my dad's stash of Playboy magazines. We looked through them all. While I found them exciting and didn't want to stop looking at them, she said that my dad shouldn't be looking at other naked women, only at mom. She insisted that we secretly throw them all away and we did. Several years ago, I told my mom the story. She gasped and made me swear never to tell my father. They were actually his father's Playboys and were collector's items. He still doesn't know whatever happened to all those magazines. I feel bad for him and I feel bad that I will never get to see them through adult eyes. So I'm off to see dad this weekend. I'm 32 now. Do I tell him? To determine the classness of a bar, my friends and I put the loony, $1 coin, in the urinal every time someone goes to the bathroom. Then we keep track of how much money is in the urinal. So if someone takes the money at like $5, then it gets a 5 on the classy scale. If however it takes $20, then it's 4 times as classy as the first bar. We don't see any way our system is flawed. When I was a child I lied about having asthma to avoid gym class. I then developed exercise-induced asthma in my late high school years. Okay, I don't understand this. When I was a kid gym was the best part of the day and I wasn't even good at sports. When I was in the 7th grade, I was with a group of friends during recess and we were playing a game where a person gets on the ground on their back and then a person gets on each side and grabs the person on the ground by the arms and flings them up in the air. I did this a few times but then the idiot of the group decides that he is going to twist his arm to make me do a flip. Since he did that without telling anyone and the other kid did it the normal way, I was flung up into the air and only flipped halfway, so I headed head first into the ground. I was able to move my head to the side before I crashed into the ground, so I only landed on my shoulder. My shoulder felt kind of weird, so I went to the nurse and she said she would call for an ambulance, but I told her I would rather have my mom pick me up. When my mom asked me what happened, I lied and told her that I was playing basketball and tripped and landed on my shoulder. After the incident happened, one of the kids told me not to say he did it because he didn't want to get into trouble. So I think that was the main reason for lying. Stupid, right? Also, I was ashamed for doing something where I knew I would get injured. Then it turned out that I broke my collarbone, causing me to miss baseball and swimming till it healed. Whenever that was brought up again, it was always said I tripped while playing basketball. I kept that secret till a few days before my mom passed away, where I confessed and then she just laughed. I should have just told the truth from the start. At least you had the balls to tell her. I told all my friends that I rode the Tower of Terror when really I didn't because the line was too long. Since then I have ridden it, but still say I have twice. One time in grade 3 I really hated this girl named Jelena, so I told my mom, for some reason that I cannot fathom. I didn't lie that often, but for some reason I did hear that she called me a name that was like a play on words for my real name, with a bad word mixed in. I can't say what it was, since that would give away my real name. Anyways, my mom got all upset and told me I should call her Jerklina at school. I did, and got in trouble, but my mom defended me so much that they let it slide. Now I can never tell her that Jerklina never really called me that made up name. The Jerk store called. They're all out of Jerklina. Now you've got a great deathbed troll. Just wait until you are about to take your last breath and motion for your brother to lean in real close. Then using your last breath right before you die you whisper, "I really did get that money from the toilet. Beep." When I was 5, I cut my own hair. When I was left with all the cut off bits, I naturally had to hide them somewhere. The hall closet seemed like a good choice. When my mom found it, and me, with the lopsided bowl cut, she flipped. I told her my big brother, who was always getting into trouble as a kid, did it to me. 21 years later, I gave a speech at his wedding and finally told the truth. The look on his face was hilarious. When I was a teenager, I developed a fascination with cross-dressing. This later developed into an enjoyment of cross-dressing and gender identity related issues. My wife and I joke about how I'm the woman in the relationship because I am a better cook and better at cleaning. But the truth is, I'm secretly far more feminine than my wife. I certainly own more skirts, dresses, and lingerie than she does. She's fully supportive, and I have many friends who are. If my parents or her mother ever found out that I've been cross-dressing since the age of 13, now 27, they would probably freak the frick out. And if there's anything I can do about it, they never will. The fact that your wife and friends have no issue makes you the luckiest little hottie with a dong in a skirt here today. Seriously, having to hold that in or hide would kill you. I tell people that I lost my virginity to my first serious boyfriend, but I really broke my hymen while masturbating with a banana. A bloody banana. Well, hymen equals virginity, so technically you're not lying, unless the banana was sentient. Color blindness. I don't fail all the tests, but lots of them, and I am afraid I'm just dumb, not actually colorblind. So colorblind it is. There are many types or levels of color blindness. I can identify primary colors when they are by themselves but cannot read the words hidden in the dots test. My girlfriend only has an associate's degree as hospitality but told her family she has a bachelor's in history. She will take this lie to her deathbed. When I was 10, I got a cheap BB gun from a gun show. I was playing with the gun outside with my little cousin, 8, and thought it would be funny to shoot him in the butt, so I did. My grandparents came outside to investigate all the screaming and crying that my little cousin was doing. I shot him a look that meant I would severely hurt him if he told. For the record, I wouldn't have done anything to him. I put my best life face on and told them my gun slipped and went off shooting him in the butt. They believed it, and I got off scot-free. This is another story involving that same BB gun. On the day of the other incident, my grandma put the gun into the gun case so that no one else would get hurt. Flash forward 2 years, and you will find me wanting to play with the BB gun again while no one is home. Their gun case had glass, sliding doors that locked. It was probably the most insecure gun case I have ever seen. I wedged the glass open enough to get the gun out. I was successful and played with the gun for probably an hour. I went back to the gun case to try to put the gun back and the glass shattered. In a moment of panic, I picked up one of the pieces of glass and sliced my shoulder open. The cut was not bad, just enough to bleed a little. My story when asked about the cabinet was that I had been chasing their 2-year-old chocolate lab around the furniture and I slipped and fell through the glass. Once again, they believed me. I just remembered another story from when I was 12. My grandpa is an avid golfer, and as a golfer does has golf clubs and golf balls laying around. There was a large field across the street from their old house, so I set up a tee and grabbed the driver. I ended up hitting probably 15 balls before I shanked one and broke a guy's truck window. I ran inside and waited for the guy to come over, as he was outside when the incident happened. He eventually came over when my grandpa got home from work. I told my grandpa that some kids rode by on bicycles throwing golf balls at cars and that they had broken the window and the guy did not see them. Once again he believed me, or I thought he did. He told me this year at his 50th wedding anniversary that he knew the truth. He realized his clubs were out of place in their bag and noticed a large amount of golf balls were gone. He agreed with me on that day, because he absolutely hated that guy and had an argument with him the week before. I have at least 2 more stories if anyone is interested. Cutting yourself with glass. Now that's really selling a lie. When I was in 4th or 5th grade, can't recall, I faked sick one day to ditch school. Now my mom was the type who would be very skeptical of my so-called illness, and rightfully so, and would say alright, let's go to the doctor's office. Well, this one time I called her bluff. We had a test or something that day and I really did not want to go. So off we go the doctors and I keep playing the sick card, pretending to have vague symptoms such as dizzy, weak, headache, stomach upset a bit, etc. So we get there, and wait, and finally it's our turn to go in, and I'm thinking to myself, it's now or never, bring it on. I present and fake all my symptoms to my doctor in the hopes he buys it. Success. He diagnoses me with mono and recommends I be out of school for at least 2 weeks. Score. We go home. Mom believes I'm sick and I go on to be waited upon for 2 weeks straight while stayed in bed playing Cool Borders 2/3 for 2 weeks for PS2. When I was 15, I started talking to this girl named Lorena over MySpace. She looked vaguely familiar, like a girl I had known from elementary school, so we just talked. I was a SAP in high school and definitely even worse with the ladies. My first GF ever tried to kill herself after I'd broken up with her. That's one of many stories. Anyway, we ended up having sort of an internet relationship and very intense friendship until the second semester of my freshman year of college, me being 19 at the time. I always told my parents that I knew her from elementary school, so they were lenient with the amount of time I spent talking to her, and even got me texting just so I could talk to her more. Anyhow, freshman year of college, Lorena tells me that her real name is Jolisa and that everything she's ever told me is a lie and she wants nothing to do with me. I haven't spoken to her since. My parents still ask me what happened to Lorena, when will we meet her. I just tell them that we don't talk anymore. But they, knowing how much we spoke, just say oh she'll be back. I've never been able to tell them that she wasn't even real. TLDR. Internet relationship over MySpace. Told my parents that I knew her. I didn't. And 4.5 years later she turned out to be fake. Never been able to tell my parents she was never real. Jolisa, Jolisa, Jolisa Jolisa, I'm begging of you, please don't take my man. What a terrible name. When I was a kid I was caught with a pack of condoms in my pocket. My mate and I had bought them out of adolescent curiosity from a pub toilet. I guess I was embarrassed or something, but I told my mum that I thought they were water bombs that adults fill with beer. She loves to tell this story, but it was a lie. When we were younger, my little brother thought it would be funny to kick me in the balls and run as fast as he can to his room and lock the door. So after I regained my senses, I charged up the stairs and punched a hole in his flimsy door and unlocked it from the inside. I found him hiding in the closet and told my parents that he put the hole there to laugh at me while I stood outside his door. They never believed me, but I still lie about this to this day. Not my lie, but very relevant. My mother gave birth to me when she was 17, but she's been telling me she was actually 19, so it didn't seem like she was in high school. All it took was a brief glance at the ad in the front of her wallet 10 years ago to discover the truth. But every year for her birthday she pretends she is 2 years older still. In kindergarten I thought it would be a great idea to scratch the bridge of my nose all day. Lo and behold, by the end of the day all the skin on the bridge of my nose had been scratched off. I didn't want to get in trouble from my parents, so I told them a kid had thrown a rock at me. They then told me to tell my teacher. I told them I had, and she had done nothing. They then told me to beat up the kid if he did it again. The next day I came home and they asked about it. I told them I had beat him up and he told me he would never do it again. They were so proud of their son standing up for himself. I still have to put up with them talking about it. I still haven't told my parents I'm an atheist because there would be no benefit. It'd just create some awkward tension in the family. Ditto man. Ditto. I know this family where all the children are in their mid-20s and are still required by their mother to believe in Santa. I say that's fair game. I'm in my late 20s and still get gifts under the tree every year from Santa. If you deny his presence, you deny his presents. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.